Good evening. Welcome in, everybody. Sound check. Give me the big thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Hopefully, you can. Welcome in, everybody. Semi sharp, coming in strong. And you, you do what you got to do. Sergeant Bill is on, and that's all you got to say, right? I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you back in a bit. Hey, Forrest, Rachel, Butterfly's here. She's going to join me in just a second. Tricio, welcome in. Ruth Ann, good to see you. Did I see Pammy in the building? All the usual suspects are here. We'll see if some more come in to join us, guys. I'm feeling much better. I got for me, I got sleep last night, off and on throughout the night, but it was enough for. I've been in a medicine-induced coma for like a week. It feels like, but I'm feeling better. So I hope all of you are doing well, staying warm, and all the things. Great. Thank you, Forrest. Sound is good. We should be good to go. Butterfly's got a new headset. She sounded much different to me backstage. We're going to test it out with you guys. Um, if we have any issues, like we had last time I tried to bring her on, she's going to drop down and we'll do our thing, but we're going to test it out. Let's get her up here. Let me, uh-oh. If I hit the correct button. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Hey, Alti. Hello, everyone. How's
All
everybody
right.
doing?
We're going to, she's going to speak up and she's got a new headset and we're going to make sure we can hear her and that maybe I don't interrupt and talk over her because I feel so bad when I do that because I feel like I can't hear her half the time. But now we're going to see if we can make this work. All right. So, how's the weather down in Texas?
Well, we're melting
Uh-oh.
little by little. No, a lot of it's melted. I mean, the roads are pretty good.
Did y'all
So,
get like a lot of snow?
no, we got
Or
ice.
got ice? Yeah, I was
A
going
lot
to
of
say I didn't know if
ice.
I haven't really
Yeah,
watched a lot of the
down here.
coverage in the last day or two, but I know that everybody has their thing. But so y'all got a lot of ice there. I know a lot of the region got hammered with snow. I saw some crazy
Mhm.
images on the news of these big snow banks and stuff. I was like, dang.
Yeah, I stayed home. I didn't go anywhere. My daughter had to go work, so we took her for a couple of days, and then she's been off the last couple of days, so it's been fine.
My family would
Um,
have been the ones out there trying to figure out ways to slide down the big snow banks. We'd be like, we ain't
right.
doing it. Yeah. So why not
If
have
I
some?
had one, I'd probably wanna go, but at my age, I'd probably break something, so
I would too. I would probably freeze too, but I don't know. It'd still be fun. I would at least try it once. If I broke something, well, dang. Well, actually, that would suck. So never mind. I don't know. Probably I would probably do it anyway. It's knowing me. But so hopefully you guys are all staying warm and nobody's battling without power and bread and milk and all the things. All
no,
right.
now it's just the cleanup because it's been so
Yes.
nasty after,
Ugh.
yeah.
And that always like
Right.
the worst because you're tired. It's
Mhm.
like, you're already like, ugh, you get a little stressed when the bad weather's coming, then it's all over and it's like clean up. No, I know all about it. Hurricane season, you're out power and boom, it's smoldering hot and you got to clean up everywhere, right? It's like
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
die cleaning up. If the cold don't kill us, the cleanup will. If the hurricane
right?
don't kill me, the cleanup will. Jesus. All right.
Oh,
Um,
man, real happy still without power, she says.
oh no, with more ice for Pammy. Pammy says more ice.
Yeah.
Um, Forest, we got rain and rain with some rain. It's 43 degrees. Hey,
Yeah,
Jeff.
this weekend, we're expecting more cold weather, but not any of the bad stuff, so
I
there's
think
that.
yeah, I think there's going to be like another wave move through or whatever you want to call it, and another front,
Mhm.
whatever, bringing some more. I guess some areas will probably receive the worst of it, but I don't think we're supposed to get no volatile weather, just cold in the winter. Cold is volatile. Oh, Sunday night it's going to be like Saturday night, 21 degrees here.
Yeah,
Is
same
it
here.
like that? I see. That's why I don't look. If I just stay in the house, I can pretend nothing bad happens outside my door. All
Right.
right. So, guys, there we got a little bit more info. Well, we got the PCA for the McKee case or the Tepe murders that we've been talking about here for a while now. A lot of you guys may have seen it already. What has come down the pike there with the new probable cause that came out. We have that, and we're going to get into that in a moment. We'll do a review on that. But something came down in the Reiner case. Not came down like legally, right? None of that. But somebody has spoken out that knew Nick when they were children, like 15 years old. Went to rehab, one of the many rehabs, expensive rehabs with Nick. Brian Enton didn't get the interviews. He said Daily Mail had an interview, and I went and tried to find the actual interview, the article, and I couldn't find it. So we're going to review Enton's piece on that, guys. I don't, Butterfly, you said you saw it, or you
Yes, I saw it. It
read
was good. Mhm.
well, he had our favorite new Butterfly and I are just we have like a girl crush on this FBI agent Maureen. It's like, chick, you're badass. We both
Yeah,
have been
she is
impressed with
definitely.
her, right? Since he
Mhm.
began to interview her right after this case happened. And she's like, yeah, girl, matter of fact, I like her. But
Yeah,
anyway,
me too. Like so refreshing compared to others. I'll just say
yeah,
that.
compared to other FBI
Mhm.
analysis,
Mhm, yeah.
I like to call them analysists. um, Yeah, it's refreshing because it gives you kind of restores your hope in the FBI maybe.
Right. But
Before I
she's
was like,
probably
"Oh,
well, she's retired, so
well,
she's
they both
probably the
are."
old school. Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
And look, they're not far
What
off in age either.
what
Look,
happened?
look.
Oh, I now really have questions, like, what happened there?
Do you think that Maureen would have gotten away with that picture episode
I
in
don't
a lot
know.
more
She
discreet
won't even have tried.
No, she would have tried, girl, but she'd have got away with it discreetly.
Yeah. Well, I
She
mean,
wouldn't have
like,
jumped
not
out of
I'm saying it that same way. She wouldn't have tried it that way.
Oh,
She
yeah,
done
no,
it
'cause,
different.
if you're an FBI agent, you're gonna try it, but your method would have been y'all some of you may be lost about what the hell they talking about. We're talking about Jennifer Coffindaffer. I'm sorry, if you like her, that's fine, but she went and snuck up to Fairview, what was it, whatever the street was that Karen Reed allegedly
Yeah.
ran over her boyfriend. So Jennifer Coffindaffer goes over there and she parks in the daylight, jumps out, runs across the
Ring
street,
camera and all.
runs up to the neighbor's house who has a ring camera, and she faces the McAlbert home and photographs the yard, right? And then runs back to her vehicle, and the whole thing is caught on ring cam. Oh Lord! In the middle of the day, FBI agent really like you don't see the ring cam. Dude, what the hell? She got caught. Anyway, I don't think Maureen would have done all that. She would have done it
Oh,
without getting caught.
right. I
I
know when he was interviewing her, she was saying certain things, and I was like, yes, I would have, yes.
oh, you broke up a little bit.
Okay. How about that?
I don't know if it's you're moving or if it's something in your connection that's loose a little bit, but
Hmm.
that was the only time it happened so far. All right. Let me see. Let me check on chat here. So happy you're over at your parents' house. Yeah, since Sunday. Wow. I feel for you because I've been without power that long and it totally sucks. You can't even go home and
Yeah.
be comfortable. Thank goodness for your parents, right? What would you do without them? But it's not, you want to go home. You want to go to your home, right? I get it.
Coffin dummy.
I see, I was a bit at the same time, Ruth Ann coming in with a giggle. We love it. I like to call her Jacoff.
That's nice.
That's
That's a nice way.
I've
I
been
like the
saying
coffin dummy.
I've been saying it that way for years now.
Yeah.
Jacoff. She's never blocked me on Twitter. I don't come at that lady sideways or nothing. Well, I made a video once, but you know, it was what it was. All right, so let's get into this Reiner of it all situation. Y'all have heard the big bold statements that his one-time attorney came out and said on the sidewalk to go write that in the papers, Nick's not guilty of murder. We all know he did it, and Alan Jackson knows he did it. I've actually watched several interviews with Alan Jackson over the past week, where he talks about it a little bit. Of course, he doesn't elaborate a ton, but I could 100% see where he was going if he would have stayed on the case. He was going after the industry that failed Nick Reiner. He's Alan Jackson. He's going for broke. He's not going small potatoes. He's got some mental illness, and this is not his fault. That was just that's the surface of it all, right?
Right.
There's a lot of layers behind that, and I absolutely believe 1,000% with all my heart and soul that would have been the case. Now,
Mhm.
we all know we've heard that the reason he's not there anymore is the money or whatever of it all, and maybe these siblings didn't want to be like go all in with this type of defense because they're probably conflicted in a lot of ways. Um, so this interview kind of gives a little bit of insight into like I said, they grew up with Nick Reiner. We did not. Alan Jackson did not. Um, the people who were taking care of Nick's needs did not, right? They did. They know their sibling. I know my siblings better than the
Mhm.
therapist will know them, better than their mama and daddy will know them, right? It is what it is.
Right.
So keep all that in mind. And I give that family grace if they're like we can't, because there's probably a lot of anger back there,
Mhm.
especially if anything this friend, or I don't know if he's still a friend or can be considered a friend, but anything this guy had to say, if it's true, wow, Nick Reiner,
Right.
can you
And you
say,
can imagine that every day living as a sibling up until recently. So there
well,
was no break. Like once he turned 20, 21, he was
it was
gone and they
never a
didn't have to
break.
deal with it. They had to deal with it.
All their lives, all their
Mm.
childhood, teenage years, all their
Right.
young adult life. And it's not like the Reiners didn't love their children, all of them, but I can totally see a situation where time may have been taken away from them accidentally on their part because Nick was over here doing something and needed, maybe it was a meltdown at a party. Maybe it was throwing something because he got mad at another kid.
Mhm.
That's taken away. Mom's got to go for half hour and chill Nick out now, and we just got to deal with it. So there's a lot there that could be unpacked, and we're speculating, of course. So let me get the banner up before somebody sneaks in here and has a problem. Uh-oh, that's not what the banner. We like to say what we're talking about here. We're just so anyway. Carolina, welcome in. Y'all in agreement? Yeah, we don't want to be bullies and hurt people's feelings, but damn, compared side by side on a table of two, these experts, I know which one I'm going with.
Right. One gets the side eye.
One's like, ma'am, you might testify for the defense one day. This one over here, she's prosecution, or you know what I'm saying? It's like the
Right.
weighing the difference in the experts.
Mhm.
Okay, let me pull up what we're going to take a look at, and we'll get started with the show. His conservatorship failed him. His conservatorship didn't stay in place, but like a year, from what I'm hearing.
Right.
It was a temporary, like a year long thing. And even I think once that conservatorship was lifted, whatever personal money he had, like inheritance or trust fund money that was already in his possession, in his accounts or whatever, I got a feeling
Drugs.
he might have went through that shit like nobody's business,
Mhm.
and there was no more coming in unless it came from mom and dad directly. You know what I mean? He's out there trying to get money for his movie, apparently. Money movie, all that. Well, I don't know if he had any personal funds left. If he did, he wouldn't be hired or getting a public defender if he had
Mhm.
personal funds available. So did he
Right.
blow through all of his? If they ever gave him like a debit card to use, did he take advantage of it? Was he always handling them for, I just need $1,000 today, mom. I know you got it in your purse, Come the fuck on, you're multimillionaires. I'd be like, dude, go cut the grass. We got a couple of acres. Well, I don't know. How they got tiny yards out there in them big old houses. The house takes up most of the yard, and I'm a yard person. I'll take a smaller
Mhm.
house to get the bigger yard. Thank you. But that's just me. I could have me a little sanctuary in the backyard and just live out there because it's Cali.
Yep.
Okay. Priorities. I guess some people's priority is that gigantic home. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had money, I'd have some bells and whistles, but I'd have more yard than house.
Right. I prefer a tiny home on some
Me
land.
too. Give me a tiny house down by the river. I am so down for it.
Yep.
or a lake or on the beach. I don't care. A body of water in a tiny house and good Wi-Fi, and I'm your girl.
There you go.
Yes, that's my dream. If I won the Florida lottery, that's what I would do. I'd build me a little tiny house somewhere and live comfortably on my little property, and I'd just build me a fucking lake. I would have the best out yard. I would have the best outside space you've ever seen. We'd go
There you
all
go.
in on that. Hell, we'd build one of them fancy swimming pools with the big slides and the caves and stuff. Yes. Fancy at what was that treehouse people that build the tree houses?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Those are
There
cool.
we go. We'll build us a compound of outdoor facilities. Well, we'll put an amusement park for fun. Oh wait, would that be weird like Neverland? Oh, wait a minute. Damn it.
Don't go that big. No.
You can't even have a fun place these days without or like, damn, there's a dark cloud over it.
Right.
Fuck.
Keep it small. Keep it small.
Keep it small like your circle. All
There
right.
you go.
Okay. So let's get into the to it all here. Y'all know Brian. He's like all these people who are leaving mainstream media and coming to YouTube, they're like, damn, that Brian Enton, he's got that shit going on. He's been at it for a while. And we now know he doesn't cook and stuff. So y'all get past all their little ads. They all bless their hearts.
Stay up in the night talking about his parents, saying
Oh, wait, whoops.
room together.
Start over. Every time. Well, actually, that hasn't happened in a while.
Oh, the rewind thing.
Yeah, when I do that, sometimes it would like get stuck. Like, what are you doing? Okay, let me get it to the beginning. Okay. Pammy, you like a real happy. I love roller coaster. I do not. I accidentally, no, so it wasn't accidentally, but I got on one at Universal Studios, The Incredible Hulk, and holy shit. By the time it was over, me and one of my daughters were like, "Oh, what was that?" And my son as well. He was young, and so then by the time we got to the next one, my husband and daughters got on the Dueling Dragons, and I'm like, "No, thank you. I'm just gonna sit here and watch." And that's what I did. It was a wild ride. Don't get me wrong, but whoa, that was too much for me. Ah, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd break every bone in my neck now. I went now. Forget that.
It's the it scares me too bad. I don't I'm when I was younger, fine, thrill me, scare me, whatever, but the older I got, I can't take all that no more. No, I gotta mm-mm. Still scare me.
And Apple. There are still so many questions about Nick Reiner, what may have set him off in that moment, what built him up to allegedly kill his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, and some big developments now. We are now hearing from a man who says that he was in.
Hold on, sorry. I thought I was muted and I coughed. I didn't mean to cough in y'all's ear, but I was trying to mute and it wouldn't let me. Let me make sure my everything's working right. It's coming off mute automatically. Can you guys? It just muted me all by itself again. Hold on, let me make sure. Y'all can hear me in the chat. Very. Can you hear me okay in chat? I think she said she had a call. I don't know if that. What happened? Okay, I'm gonna try this again. Okay, I was testing something. All right, I'm gonna put this on play. I'm assuming y'all can hear me in the chat, right?
Rehab with Nick Reiner. Danny Svilar says he shared a room with Nick Reiner at a luxury rehab in Malibu, California, when they were both 15 years old. This is according to the Daily Mail, who spoke with Svilar. And my producer also spoke to him. He didn't want to do another interview right now, but he confirmed his story. And he said to the Daily Mail, As soon as I saw that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were murdered, I knew exactly who it was. Danny says he was in rehab because of a shopping addiction and that he was friends with Nick while they shared a room together. He says he met the Reiners while he was in rehab and that the rehab cost $60,000 a month, which I'm going to talk to a little bit more with my guest in a couple of minutes. He's very complimentary of the Reiners, saying that they did everything for Nick and that they spent literally millions of dollars on his recovery. But what's disturbing is Danny says Nick would go off about his parents throughout the night. You know, they were roommates, and apparently he would like stay up in the night talking about his parents, saying, quote, how much he effing hated his parents. Danny says he just really oppressed anger towards the fame. And, quote, I don't know how it is having a father with that level of fame, but regardless of that, Nick had no sense of gratitude, no sense of appreciation. He was just an effing pompous little punk. He wanted to be out smoking pot, doing pills, doing whatever, and his family just wanted to get him help. That is the quote from Danny. Danny says initially Nick was welcoming and funny, but that there was a side of him that could just flip. And he says that he saw Nick attack another teen at the facility, and at one point he even had rage towards him, which is why they didn't remain roommates. Again, that's according to his interview with the Daily Mail. Danny told a story how he said Nick looked like John Travolta's son, and he says that quote really set him off. Apparently, he really didn't like that.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yes, 60 grand a month, Pammy. We're gonna talk about that. So if the friends that knew him so were like, dude, you look like John Travolta's son, that set Nick off. Don't you dare call me that.
Sounds like anything set him off.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure there were certain triggers that the
Like,
people close to him.
more than others.
Okay, I have two boys, and one of them was a little gamer. They're raised in two different eras. Yes, they're 15 years apart. And the one that's the gamer, if I'd stand outside that bedroom door and heard everything those little punk ass boys were saying to each other at 14, 15, and 16, wow, they know how to push each other's buttons, right? So we had to have talks about not going too far with things, right? But yeah, so if you told Nick you look like John Travolta, then that was fighting words, man, in Hollywood. What are you saying? My mama had an affair. I don't look like no damn John Travolta.
Or you're adopted. Remember that one? You're the
Adopted.
adopted kid.
Well, but I thought that was a 70s thing. You wanted to piss off the other kid, your sibling. You said you're adopted.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that faded away over the. Well, anything would piss this boy off, apparently. But you know, when this stuff first came out, there were a little talk. It started a little bit came out that there might have been issues going back further into childhood, and that's what I started to wonder. You know, was this that kid that really presents early in age? By 7, 8, and 9, you got a out of control kid because they're not disciplined enough. They're probably spoiled. They're probably a lot of things. But if they're having meltdowns or manipulating to get their way, and parents, you know, sometimes they're stern and sometimes they're not. But it's the ones that go a step further that have these serious meltdowns and things of that nature and these violent tendencies. Nick was experiencing that at a young age. So that wasn't caused by drug use.
Right.
Not at 7, 8, and 9 years old. There was something else going on. So if that goes undiagnosed properly, untreated properly, whatever, and then you move into the teenage years, guess what's going to happen now? He's going to start self-medicating, finding ways to deal with whatever these little demons are he's battled for whatever reason.
Right.
You got the perfect storm brewing.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and this lifetime of this and these poor parents who seem to have been, by all accounts, all in trying to help this kid, paying for all the top-notch therapies for decades, not just one facility. How many have we heard about so far? Dozen,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
It's wild.
that. He says that Nick tried to get aggressive with him and that it got physical and that a tech actually had to step in at the rehab. And he explained that Nick got in his face and even raised a fist. Danny says he doesn't want to identify the rehab facility, but it was apparently very fancy. Again, $60,000 a month, had daily yoga, massages, private chefs. And he says that Nick told him things that, quote, threw him the wrong way. And this part is really interesting. Danny says that he was upset by Nick's attitude because he didn't seem to appreciate how much his parents cared for him. And he only had really nice things to say about Rob and Michelle. He says that Rob and Michelle genuinely cared for Nick, would do anything for him to get better. He said the parents of these children with money, they usually are not truly involved in wanting to help them help their kids or do that. Many of them just hire like a helping hand, basically a handler, if you will. Lots of kids in there had absent parents who relied on nannies, but Rob and Michelle were there for every single.
Absent parents who relied on nannies, and there was probably a lot of them like that in this
Mhm.
town. And the guy that's being interviewed, his parents were spending 60 grand a month for his shopping addiction.
Wow.
Let that set in. I can't even go get a massage because I need it.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah,
Damn,
it's
Mammy,
crazy.
right?
Family group, Danny says. They were there for every therapy session. They didn't have to give me the time of day. He says, I played frisbee with Rob. They just wanted to get him well. And Danny said, I would hate to see him try to plead this guilty or not guilty by insanity, when in reality, he told me how much he effing hated his parents, especially his father. And remember, this is from.
Okay. If prosecution can go back and interview people other than this one guy and corroborate a history on Nick Reiner making statements like that, man, they're going to build a case against Nick Reiner. He's going to need Alan Jackson.
I wonder if he was cured. The friend was cured from his shopping addiction. I mean,
That's a good
they
question.
paid 60K for him to be
Well,
there. I'm just curious.
well, I'm sure that if he wasn't, his parents, well, I hope they're smart enough to cut his little ass off. Hell, send
Right.
me his trust fund money. I'll use it wisely.
Right.
I'll cure his shopping addiction for him.
Back when they were 15 years old. Danny says he truly had no cause to hate them except for the fact that they are the reason for a lot of his problems, and that boiled down to fame. That is what Nick apparently said. Danny said they just wanted him to do well, and he did not want to be well.
He did not want to be well. Nick said in an interview I listened to one night that he talked about the one he went to in Maine and how he knew that if he got out in Maine or just left the facility, right? What was he going to do? Where was he going to go? Where was he going to get his drugs? What was he? No money, no nothing. So he decided, I need to play this game and make them think I'm good and I'll want to just go home so that when I get back home, I can go right back to my ways. So I wonder each time nothing against these parents, but did they have enough of them in them to be as stern as needed to be once he come back? I don't know that if like they had rules in place, like if they each time thought he came back from a rehab and he was doing okay, that oh my God, we can breathe for a minute, we can relax and give him
Mhm.
freedoms, and then a little while later it starts again. Or how long do you tighten the reins before you start to let go? I don't know. We don't know all that part. I'm sure
Right.
it was up and down battle for years for them. But he could have also started out as a very spoiled child who, when he finally, maybe they realized we need to start telling him no. And when they did, that was not acceptable to him. So what are you going to do to get your way? You're going to throw a little tantrum. If it works, you're going to do it again. If it worked, you're going to do it
Mhm.
again. And it continues and it continues. And then or was it violent? What would cause this little child to be violent? Was there trauma? Was he just born with it? You know what I mean? That's a lot to unpack as to why a child acts out at that age. But there's a
Right.
lot It happens more times than you guys think, especially in these young boys. Koberger was apparently that type of child. I don't know to what extent, but we know going back to age 9, there was problems with Brian Koberger. That's in the documents. Ann Taylor herself put that out there.
And the hatred is just one thing that really got to me. All of us in there, we all had our gripes with our parents, but at the end of the day, we were grateful for what we had. Him, on the other hand, not so much. I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell, a retired FBI agent, also host of the podcast Best Case, Worst Case. It's always nice to see you, Maureen. And we've been talking about the Nick Reiner story ever since it happened. And more details are coming out now with this roommate of Nick's speaking out, a roommate of his from this fancy rehab place in Malibu back when they were both 15 years old. And what struck me, I think, the most is this quote from the roommate where he says, "As soon as I saw that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were murdered, I knew exactly who it was." And that even all these years later, when he saw the news, Nick Reiner popped into his head right away.
He wasn't the only one that said that. Some of the other people close to the investigation, or really close to the family, they said the same thing, and they didn't want to disparage the family because they knew how important. They didn't want to say anything that would harm the image of Rob or Michelle, which this doesn't. I mean, by all accounts, from everyone who knew them, they were wonderful parents who cared deeply about all their children.
So if people did suspect Nick right away, they didn't just suspect Nick because there were reasons to suspect Nick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So how far back can they clock that kind of behavior?
Well,
Was
we
it
know 15 at
right?
least.
So
15 probably
so
before that.
so before the current diagnosis of whatever he's got, before the meds change because of some weight gain, from what we're hearing, right? Is that what we've
Mm-hmm.
known so far? He's doesn't know what he's doing in jail. He's childlike. I- Is he manipulative enough to be sitting there just putting on a good show? And he had to go through dope sickness. Don't think he didn't. If this
Mm-hmm.
guy's got a drug habit and he's using, once he got to jail, all of a sudden he can't use anymore. He got dope sick. Okay, did you get over that in a few days? Then what do? You know what I mean? "Oh, what do you mean, Alan? My sister and brother said no to the money. Fuck. I'm just gonna play. Alan's already going in there. Maybe there is something wrong with him right now. Because let me tell you,
Right.
it's a hard pill to swallow what you just did to your parents. When reality set in the way that, oh my God, I left my sheath did. Oh my God, I just did that. Fuck. That's
And
hard.
did they put him on any other meds, new or what he was taking before?
Oh, I don't know. All we do know is he was on some meds. They went to adjust the meds because of weight gain, allegedly. Because of the adjustment, he becomes unstable. Because of that, he goes off on his parents this night after a fight at a party. No, there's more
Mm-hmm.
to it than that. There's more to it than that.
And did whatever they could to help them. So, but behind the scenes, almost everyone said the same thing.
And if he's not coherent in jail and was already pre-diagnosed with this schizo whatever, you can set bet that Alan Jackson, when he was on the team, they made sure he's getting some meds in that jail. What they already checked out the
Right.
protocol and the regimen they got him on. Normally, if they go to jail, I guess it'd be this way in California too. If you go into jail and you're already on certain meds, they'll continue those in jail, but it's a process. You're not going to get them like tomorrow, like you're, you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm sure they've got him on something. But I'm beyond what meds is this boy taking at this point. How many meds have y'all fed this kid his entire life?
Right.
On top of the street drugs he was consuming.
Which tells you how dangerous he must have been.
And
Because,
how far back it all goes, these warning
yeah,
signs.
because I mean, all kinds of things can happen in life, but when someone gets murdered, for the first thing to say is, I think it was this person in the family.
Pammy, you're on the fence still. That's cool. Evaluate her at your own pace. I like that because we did. We kind of just been watching, and every time we do, we're like, well, damn, we a little bit more each time. So I like that though. Good, good. Let me know what you think in the end. I'm curious. I like Pammy's opinion around here.
Unless it's the actual spouse, that's very rare. Like we talked about, killing one's parents is not something that happens every day. But he seemed to have a very deep hatred going all the way back, according to this former roommate and many others.
Yeah, this roommate, Danny, again, I found this part to be really disturbing. He says that they would stay in the room together at night and be up in the night just talking after lights out, and that Nick would go off about his parents throughout the night, saying things like how much he effing hated his parents, even back when he was 15 years old.
Yeah, he probably wondered, why aren't I respected the way they are? Well, it's because they put in the work. They worked really hard their whole lives. And unfortunately, that work ethic was not instilled in Nick. And, I mean, he probably didn't have any responsibilities much growing up, like a lot of us did from a very early age. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe Nick Reiner would have been very different had he grown up on a farm and he had really heavy responsibilities from the age of 6.
I was watching a show one time, and it was like these wealthy people. This girl was going off to college, but at this particular dorm type thing she lived in, there was a freaking butler. There was laundry service, all
Wow.
these things. Yeah, because these kids don't know how to do anything. Even in a little ritzy seaside community where I used to work, and the kid who didn't know how to sweep a floor, that's just like that's whatever. But these kids, they don't know even how to do the laundry or wash a dish or things of that, like the things you try to teach your kids. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what they do, uh, and man, it, 60 grand a month for one facility stay with all the luxury accommodations, including the chef and the massages, millions of dollars spent by these parents, for him to run around. What that first intervention we heard was at 14, he said in that interview. So by the time he's 15, he's in a facility now with this other guy talking about he effing hates his parents. I'm sure at that point he did, because he just got sent to his first rehab.
Mhm.
That would probably be his first stint. If it was 14 at the intervention and now this is 15, this guy's in there with him. Is this the first or second stay? Probably the first. Huh.
Right. Be
I'll,
curious to see a timeline of
yeah,
like
of all the
the
all the
dates.
stays.
Mhm. Yeah.
When was each stay and how long was each stay? Oh, that'll come out in court. Well, if I'm Alan Jackson, I'd already had those documents sitting there going, but we don't have him anymore. So, whoever the public defender is, she can really set a precedence going forward if she plays it right. And I don't mean to use the word plays it right as like a plays it. You know what I mean? That's not probably not the best way to word that. But if you're going for if you're defense attorney today, that's your client. That's all you got to go with. And this is obviously there's a pattern here. So it's not like are you blaming someone else? Or are you looking at the industry as a whole and going, wait a minute, you seriously failed many, many, many times, and look what the result was, right? Because there's not a doubt
Mhm.
the guy did it. It's not like he's trying to say, the Saudi defense, some other dude did it. It's not like that. It's
Right.
crazy. I don't know.
Mhm.
But the prosecution could establish motive well beyond, how would a jury take it? If you could bring in people from the age of 14 or even younger, establishing, yes, Nick had violent tendencies, or we witnessed meltdowns, or we witnessed this or that over the years, versus what type of treatment was he getting. It can be so complicated. And that's probably where your better attorney comes into play, because of those types of complications. Y'all saw how
Mhm.
complicated and technical Karen Reed got. It took 3 of them dudes to figure it out and attack each element, right? You had
Right.
each one of those attorneys attacking different things. It was a brilliant way to do it. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out for Nick now.
Who knows?
Well, will investigators go back and talk to people like this? I mean, is this
Absolutely.
important for the prosecution?
Yes. And this roommate is now working with the prosecution, so they're not probably not going to be making or taking any more interviews.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's working this. How do you know that, Maureen? Girl's got her sources.
Mm-hmm.
Owns that big ass security company there in the Hollywood Hills, and she lives around the corner from this incident. She got mad clients, mad, rich, wealthy clients, and they probably are talking to her.
And she's probably seen it all too. So
Oh, she knows a lot more than she's saying. So if he's working with the prosecution, how many more people are doing the same to establish what we were just talking about, right?
right.
What's Forrest saying? He may have hated his parents, but I'm sure he liked their money. Of course. Of course. You know? Um, and then you're also going to resent them at some point because they're not willing just to cough it up willy nilly anymore, right?
Yeah, because we don't hear anything about him running away except for when he was homeless, but he was an adult by then, I think.
I think what happened in that case, I think he learned his lesson because we talked about going to Maine and he knew
Oh, yeah.
if he left that facility, he'd be homeless. So I'm wondering, well, were you in a Texas facility and got pissed and said, I'm leaving and went out the door and realized, oh shit, I'm homeless. Well, yeah, I think there a little bit more needs to be unpacked. I don't think he just made his way down to Texas, like hopped a train, made his way down to Texas and went homeless and then made his way back. I don't think it went that way. I think Nick got mad at a facility, maybe, walked out and was like, shit, and eventually called mama or daddy, found his way back home. I don't know. That's just a theory I thought. I don't know where this, I don't know how, what would your theory be on how he got to Texas and became homeless? How does that even work? Why would he be in
Yeah, I
Texas?
know. I mean, I don't know
I
either.
have lots of questions when I hear stuff like that. I'm like, wait, 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 wait,
Who
wait.
are his friends? Was he hanging with somebody and
Right.
they ended up
First
in
of all,
Texas? I mean, I don't know.
why is he in Texas? How did he get
Yeah,
home? There's a lot I need to know about stuff like that. I
yeah,
just don't think he hopped on a train and hoboed down to Texas and went homeless.
right.
Like, no, hell no.
And I think what happened
And
before this was he ended up. I think they may have given him an ultimatum, because
To get out,
he
or
no, like, yeah, to get out. I mean, this
wait,
I
wait,
don't
wait,
think
wait.
he's embarrassed him in
I'm
front of
confused.
their friends before, like right before he killed them.
Oh,
Like
you mean
what
like
triggered him could have been they may have decided to. This is an ultimatum. Like you can't do you can't
after the fight at
live.
the party?
Yeah, yeah,
And they got home and the fight continued. Now, what we don't know for sure,
mhm,
though, is where they were killed. If
right,
Maureen, from the things that she has said, were they in their bedroom in bed? Were they in the kitchen? If they were in the
mhm,
kitchen, maybe an argument did ensue about that was a lot at that party. You need to get the hell out of here. But or was it just retreat back to your guest house? I don't know. I think the party fight alone was enough
mhm,
trigger something in him. Obviously, it did. What that was, I don't know. He's a guy who's out on a ledge, right?
right,
Anything. That was a lot. That was humiliating. He's walking around. He's got the hoodie on. He's bothering people. He's getting in arguments with,
right.
and yeah, I would be. I have a lot. I would have a lot to say to my kid on the way home.
Yeah.
A lot,
It's one thing
and
at home
I
with the
don't know
family.
what.
Yeah. I said it's one thing to act like that at home with the family, but in front of their peers, their friends,
They're
it's
close
it's like
friends.
another level. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all close friends hanging out at Conan's. That was a
Mm,
lot that night. I don't family dynamics are family dynamics. If I was in Robin Michelle's shoes and I'm at a big party or a tiny party and my kid is doing that and we have to leave,
right.
it's not going to be pretty going home. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
I don't care what your excuse is or what the hell's going on. We got a
Exactly.
problem. And maybe they're a little more docile than me. Maybe it was just some words exchanged of disappointment. Who knows? The talk. Disappointed again. Either way, something triggered in Nick
Mhm.
that apparently not a lot. to take to trigger him. And maybe that was whatever, it was just too much, especially with the meds change, take that into account and all that. But what I don't know is where they were when he killed them. If they were already in bed, did he walk into their room and just decide to do something while they were intending to be asleep? Or that means there was no fighting once they got home at that point. Like maybe they
Mm-hmm.
did, then they went to bed. So I don't know if we haven't heard that, have we? Of where they were. I mean, I've heard conflicting reports. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
I would like to know where it was though. Kitchen, living room, bedroom, whatever.
Same.
Wasn't Rob in the bedroom and Michelle elsewhere? I'm not sure, Pammy. That's what. Or you may. Yeah. Now Michelle may have tried to get up and run away. See that we haven't really heard the
Mhm.
details or seen any probable cause out of this, right?
No, because they lock everything down. We can't get
Yeah.
any information
So
out of this case again.
it would be nice to know those details for us to try to wrap our head around what happened a little bit better. But I think we can all can agree that whatever went down at that party was big and it escalated and that something was different that night. I took that down, guys, because they're just going to be talking about the case like we're doing here. Um, and we want to move on to this other stuff as well because we got the McKee probable cause to look at. That thing, oh my goodness. This guy, wow. Now, if y'all
I'll
want to
share
go,
the link to it.
okay, thank you. I was about to say, if y'all want to go watch that full interview, Enton did it over on his channel, and we can get the link in there for you. Did you drop the link in the chat?
I'm going to right now.
Great, thank you. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, y'all go check that out in full if you want to check it out again. Yeah, we can speculate, Pammy, right? We're true crime. We having coffee and crime conversation. Some of y'all might be having a different beverage, and we'll take it. I'm having coffee this evening. I felt much better today. I
Mhm.
took a walk, took a hot shower,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's good. Good.
all the things. Uh, played with the cat. This cat, man, while I've been sick these last few days, this cat's decided I don't need to be sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning. I should be awake and like playful. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what in the world?
You're
I had to threaten her the other night. Like, I had to get up and I was like, dude, she ran away. And I mean, not didn't run away. She ran to
yeah.
her wherever she hides. But yeah. And during the day, though, she will snuggle up on my bed and want to sleep all day. And I'm like, oh, heifer, girl, sleep all day to torture me all night. We got to fix this. I got to figure this out. Y'all, I'm a dog person. I've raised dogs. This cat has been with me for, I don't know, maybe a year. It was my kid's cat. I'm just getting used to all the things.
Do the same to her when
What
she's
are you?
snuggling and sleeping. No, let's play. Come on, let's play.
Oh,
She wouldn't like that at all.
this cat's not like a super snuggler. She does like me to pet her head, and then she'll sleep right next to me. But other than that, she's a pretty much leave me alone kind of gal.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think she's an attack cat. I think she would attack somebody if they came in my room and showed aggression. She'd be like, "Wah, it's on, it's on." All right, let me pull up. I do have these uploaded to the screen. I'm gonna read them from my phone because I don't have them. Like we don't have the PDF version, so to pull up. So I did it this way. So Butterfly will keep an eye on the chat while I pull this up on the phone to read, and then I'll get the screen up to match it as well. Whoops, 1 second, guys. Okay, let me get where I can see. Okay, let me get which one is this? Is it this one? All right, so this is the probable cause that came down. Leave it the chat. There we go. So I can see chat up on the screen. All right. So this is written by Detective or Officer Russ Weiner. Of course, the usual sworn affidavit by him, police officer, all the things. All right, so the summary statements of facts in support of probable cause. On December 30th, 2025, at 9:57 a.m., Columbus Police Patrol officers were dispatched to 1411 North 4th Street on a check on the well-being of a Dr. Spencer Tepe who had not shown up to work. Officers arrived and found Dr. Tepe and his wife Monique Tepe deceased inside, suffering from gunshot wounds. 2 minor children were found inside the home unharmed. Columbus Fire Medic Number 7 responded and pronounced both victims deceased at 10:11 a.m. Columbus Police Homicide Unit Team 2 was advised, responded, and initiated an investigation. Early on in the investigation, detectives were advised by identifiable friends and family of Monique Tepe that Monique had told them her ex-husband, Dr. Michael McKee, had been abusive and had made numerous threats on her life during and after their marriage. A identifiable witness told detectives that Monique Tepe had shared allegations against Michael McKee of forced, unwanted sex and strangulation. Another identifiable witness told detectives that Michael McKee had told Monique that he would kill her or he could kill her at any time and would find her and by the house next to her, and she will always be his wife. My God. During the investigation, detectives were able to identify a suspect through neighborhood video surveillance. The suspect was tracked to a vehicle which arrived just prior to the homicides and left shortly after the homicides. Video of this vehicle and very distinctive features allowed detectives to identify both a stolen Ohio license as well as an Arizona license being displayed on it at different times. Oh, I didn't read that earlier. So he had a stolen plate and an Arizona plate, and I think that Arizona plate was a temporary tag. And he used 2 different tags on the vehicle. I mean, and it got caught on 2 different cameras with the different tags. So he swapped them, stopped and swapped tags, right, to throw them off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Okay. All right, let me get back to where I was. Okay, so that vehicle had just arrived prior to the homicides and left shortly after. Okay, video of the vehicle and very distinctive features allowed the detectives to identify both a stolen Ohio license plate as well as the Arizona. So distinctive features helped them identify that that's the same car, just a different plate. So he's got different plates being displayed at different times. Okay. Further searches showed this vehicle to be associated with a past address of Michael McKee, as well as his current work address at Rockford, Illinois. So he had 2 addresses listed, and that was both tied to him. Additional video was obtained and showed McKee in possession of the vehicle prior to and after the homicide. So they got him on video with possession of the car before and after. Okay, let me get the second part of it up. And it would be this one. All right. So this is a newer part that they added to. Detectives also recovered video of the same suspect entering the curtilage of the residence. Now we all know the curtilage is where you put the garbage out to the curb, and if that's where the garbage man, the DNA can be collected. The curtilage, like in the Brian Koberger case. So anything past that curb, your yard, your curtilage, right? So this camera video, and I'm wondering if it's that crime camera on the corner there, because I think that's one that could also see the vehicle coming and going. So this person, McKee, has been identified as him. So I'll start it over, okay? Um, they recovered video of the same suspect entering the curtilage of the residence on December 6th. That was before the murders. And exiting a few hours later when the Tippies were away. Turns out they were at the big ball game. These dates are consistent with video recovered of the silver SUV and are consistent with the dates with Michael McKee, which Michael McKee was not on the schedule at the hospital. So he wasn't on schedule at the hospital on the 6th, and he was seen going into their yard, stayed for a couple of hours, guys, and then he leaves the yard. What do you think he was doing for that couple hours? He was in that house. And they weren't home, they were away at a big ball game.
Yeah.
Now, so on January 9, detectives seized the SUV bearing the Arizona temporary tag from a lot at the hospital in Rockford, Illinois, where he worked. Detectives noticed fresh scrape marks on the window where the sticker, which had been on the vehicle prior to the homicides, had been hastily removed. So they could tell there were marks on the window that appeared to be fresh, where the sticker was hastily removed. All right. During the time of the homicides, McKee's phone had been left at the hospital in Rockford, Illinois, and showed no activity for approximately 17 hours from December 29th and midnight to December 30th. Now, we learned that he also booked the sleep room at the hospital, like surgeons will do typically. He booked a sleep room there, apparently, and left the phone there. And then he left, right? Okay. More recently, while Monique and Spencer were at the Big Ten championship game in Indiana on December 6th with several other couples, Monique went back to her hotel room early in the second half. That's the same day he was in the house. When identifiable friends asked Spencer why Monique had left the game, he told them she was upset about something involving her ex husband and was going back to the hotel. Now, that's too much of a coincidence
Mm-hmm.
to the same day he's in her house or on her property for a couple hours, she goes back to the hotel because she's feeling some type of way. What did she tell Spencer? And why did she go back to that hotel alone? Now, people obviously were told about his abuse. Why did it not escalate to a point where she had like a restraining order? Did
Yeah.
she live in that space where he will never do something like that? But maybe it was getting worse and she's starting to get. Was she telling? Were other people downplaying it to her? Like maybe, I mean, it's so hard. There's so
Yeah.
many layers it could be because people feel different ways about things.
Right.
Sounds like he had such. What was this guy's problem? To be obsessed with her that like was there something in him already, right? Like a psychopath, but you know what I mean? Where
Mm-hmm.
he had these tendencies to behave this way. We hear this all going back to his childhood. For instance, first grade, he's been recognized for his achievements in school, all of his good grades, all the things. Um,
Right.
so what? There was like no trauma, right, and that we are aware of that could have caused or triggered behaviors. So it doesn't feel like it took Monique long really to figure it. Now I've heard that there was like engagement postponements, but I don't know. I haven't seen like how could you prove that, right? But we do know that she wasn't married to the guy long. Once she said I do, it didn't take 7 months for her to say I don't, and she left. So she did the right thing, um,
Right.
which so many women don't do because they're afraid to and survive that way for years. And look, here she is doing the right thing after 7 months and doing everything she can to move forward. And he does this, walks right up into her life and takes it all away. And not only from her, from those two innocent little babies. That's the hardest part to
Yeah.
swallow of it all, right? These
Mhm.
2 little innocent kids that didn't even deserve that, you
Yep.
know? And maybe he's not a child killer. Who knows why he didn't unalive the children? Thank God he didn't, because I think with a lot of love and support, they can have a good life. You know what I mean? And they can unpack this with people who can help them along the way. So there's always going to be that
Mhm.
rainbow at the end, and I'll believe that. But damn, they shouldn't have to go through it, right?
I
But
just wondered, like, how much. I mean, I know December 6th, but
huh?
have they checked prior to that if he tried, like,
Okay,
going on? I
so
don't know if they have.
let me see. Let look now that you've said that, yes, because is it not in this one that I read? What's going on here? Because there, did I miss it? Okay, because there were neighbors that said he was in the neighborhood weeks leading up to the murders. And I first heard that, and I saved that clip. We're going to review it. It is an interview, or it was a press conference, right? And there was a news team there. And the guy asked and I was watching it when the guy asked the question. I was like, that's a great question. And I was like, oh, I perked up when he said it because he's like, because he was local. Neighbors were reporting seeing him in the neighborhood. And I thought that was mentioned in this. Let me look at it again real quick. We'll watch the piece I'm talking about. Let's pull that up because maybe I missed it in here. Sorry, guys, my glasses are crazy. I got to blow it up on my phone. Let me look real quick. I thought that it stated that in here that witnesses. All right, let me pull up that piece that I was just talking about. We'll make it easier. Let me do this. It's a little news clip. So now, to go back to your question, if people did see him in the neighborhood prior, like weeks leading up at different times, do they have any of that on video, right?
Right,
Uh,
that's what I was meaning
well,
on that.
so I wonder how far back, like that crime camera retains video, Butterfly. I wonder.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. Because I would think that camera would pick up a lot. Because if it can just see if a camera sees him entering the curtilage, tells me this camera can't see the front door, and it can't see a back door. So it's not a ring
Mhm.
cam from across the street, because that would see the front of the house, right? To see the
Right.
front door. So we still don't know how the guy got in. If he was able to access, is he smart enough to hack into their system and mess around to disarm their security alarm, their doorbell, ring cam, whatever? Because they have a ring cam on that house and they have the keypad entry thing. Was he able to hack uh, a way to get into their passcodes?
What kind of locks did they have on the doors? 'Cause if he
And what?
went the back and that was easy to pick, he
Well,
could
I
have
don't know.
gone anyway.
Well, picking a lock, even for a second, is going to take time. And we don't. I
Mhm.
don't know if I've seen a. There's probably a backdoor image out there. The front door absolutely had a keypad entry, and it has a ring
Mhm.
cam. That's
Right.
you can see it plain as day. Now, the back door, I don't know, but I don't know how he got in there. He could have picked a lock. He could have hacked and got codes. He could have. Who knows? We'll
Right.
hope figure that. Maybe they'll figure that part out. It just takes extra time to pick a lock. You would need to do it from the back door. I'm not going to pick your lock from the front door and risk being seen
Mhm.
attempting to do that. So it would have to be from the back door, unless I'm just a blooming
Right.
ass
So
idiot.
she would have gotten a notification, or they would have if they weren't that asleep,
If
if he
their
was at the
alarm
front.
is on, if they have an alarm at the house and it's turned on, and someone attempts to pick the lock, would that trigger your alarm? It damn well better.
Well, if it's a Ring camera, because I have a Ring camera, if anybody's at the front door, I'll get the notification on my phone that somebody's there.
All right, so we don't know if he was able to disable their ring cam. I don't know if the back
Mhm.
door had a ring.
I don't know.
Front door, I don't know what the back door has on it, but I know front door has a ring cam.
Mhm.
If he wasn't able to mess with their ring cam, then the ring cam's going to see him coming and going through the front door. Keypad entry, I'm in. Or picking a lock, it's going to see him unless he can disable it. If he's going to the back door and there's not a ring cam and there's just a regular lock and he can pick it, they can't see him, and he's picked the lock and he's in. Both ways are smarter to go in the back door. But I don't know what the back door had for sure. I think we'd all love to know how this guy gained entry into this damn house, though, because that would show a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did he break a window? There was no forced entry that we've been told that would suggest that yet. Like a basement window being busted in, or
Would the dog have heard it? Started barking?
I just don't.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. This is the golden doodle. This is a Murphy. This is Murphy's brother. I don't know how well these dogs bark. Was the dog familiar with him at this point? He was in the house December 6th with this dog. Unless
Yeah.
they had a dog sitter while they were away and it wasn't home. If he's made entry into the home in the past when they weren't home, we suspect Koberger lurking back there in the woods, watching, chumming it up to, here, smell my hand, doggy. You just ran away from your owner to take a piss. Smell my hand. Get used to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Here's some treats.
Yes. Put a few in your pocket. There. Look, I have. I
So
know.
is that dog the same dog that she took when she left?
Oh, I have no idea. But it's like this. My sister's got 3
'Cause they
dogs.
had a dog. Well, they had a dog together, and she
I
took the
know.
dog. So
Wait,
he
so if
would
it was
know.
the same, he would know the dog, right? It would know his scent. Now,
Mhm.
look, in that wedding video, Butterfly, that dog that's sitting there, he's a big guy. I don't know how old that dog is. I thought about that. Is it the dog they had together? Would it remember him and recognize his scent? Probably so. But some people have really useless dogs. I told these dogs that here, you guys know your pit bulls, right? But you're like seriously useless dogs. They don't know when to bark at the right thing, and they're too friendly to people who just walk up. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not. This is crazy. I've never seen such because my dog needs to protect me. So there's dogs out there that don't react, don't meet strangers. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what's up with these dogs who are just. Do they know the people? Are they familiar with them? Are they just not gonna whoops bark and do anything? I don't know. Let me get this screen up. So let's go back to, was he in the neighborhood beforehand? Like watching. So this is a piece I was telling you about.
Columbus police affidavit obtained by ABC6 reveals when Monique Tepe and her husband Spencer were watching the Buckeyes in the Big Ten Championship December 6th in Indianapolis with friends. Monique's ex-husband, 39-year-old Michael McKee, was captured on video on the Tepe's North 4th Street home property, spending hours at the home before leaving. Just 3.5 weeks later, the Tepes found shot to death in their home December 30th, their young children sleeping a few feet away, unharmed. McKee arrested in Rockford, Illinois, where he worked as a vascular surgeon. Police say he was captured on security video.
Semi-sharp. Did you get that from Sarge, or because I'd like to? Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting. Thank you.
Walking near the Tepe's home around the time of the homicides, a silver SUV belonging to McKee tracked from near the crime scene to Rockford. During that Big Ten championship game, Spencer telling friends Monique returned to their hotel during the second half because she was upset about something involving her ex-husband. ABC6 asking Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant 2 weeks ago if McKee had been seen in the neighborhood shortly before the murders.
Neighbors had said that they had seen McKee in the neighborhood and in front of the Tepe home days before the homicide. Can you confirm that?
At this time, we're unable to talk about specific information, but
Oh, sure. Of course you are. So hear what the reporter said? They've spoke to the neighbors on the ground. Their boots on the ground, right? And neighbors reported now that they've seen the guy, I guess, and maybe got information about the car. They're like, wait a minute. That guy was just here a few days ago. I saw him a week ago. I think it was, how many reports will they have? of him being there.
Also, I wonder if he left his phone every time he went there. Like if there are other cases
Oh,
prior to December 6th.
what will his cast report tell us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he downloaded that phone immediately as soon as his handcuffs slapped on. Bubba, give us that phone. Wait, they retrieved the phone from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He left it in the sleep room. So yeah, they got to downloading that phone ASAP. What will it tell us? So you're right. Will it show other times where he was offline like that? And could they? So if the phone shows inactivity, like 12 hours of home, do they have another way to figure out if a neighbor can corroborate a date? What would the cell phone data show compared to that date, right? And that could show, yeah, gotcha. So that'd be interesting to know.
Yep.
Huh. Stalker much? This would be the definition of stalker.
Right.
For those in the back who need to understand what stalker really means. I'm not talking about y'all, audience. You guys are awesome.
Again, when we get additional information, we'll be more happy to share it.
Court documents state McKee's cell phone was left at the Illinois hospital where he worked and showed no activity during a 17-hour window that ended just hours after the Tepe's bodies were discovered in their home. This affidavit states early in the investigation, friends and family told police Monique had said McKee had been abusive and made numerous threats on her life during and after their marriage.
So even after their marriage. So I wonder how was December 6th like a startling, because maybe she got a text like hi, you know, just like hey, how are you, or something, and that had been the first time in a while. We know the big lawsuit was unfolding out there in Nevada and things like that. Old boy's life was taking a turn for the worse.
Or even
so-
he passed by that Ring camera on purpose, knowing she would get the notification, and that's how she saw it on her phone.
Maybe so. Like she's like, oh, you know. Well, I don't know. Does it notify you every time a car passes your street?
Depends how, not the car, but if
Really?
he like walked around the house to where, like if
Like
you're close
entering the
enough.
curtilage, like when he got it, entered the curtilage, walked up to the door, maybe like went to the front door and rang the doorbell. Was he going to do that? If you're getting ready to do what he was contemplating, say he's doing that, are you going to want it known? But if he's walking right up where he can be seen entering the curtilage, right? Was that the front of the house or the back of the house where he enters the curtilage? We have more questions. Was he ballsy enough to do it in daylight hours where he could really be seen well walking up into their property? Wow. I guess sometimes crazy don't care when they're intent on doing something, right? Was he practicing getting in the house and making sure it would work?
Yeah. We'd have to know the time of the game that they went to, see what time, if it was during the day at night.
If it was a daytime game. I don't know when they left to go to the game, though, right? They had a hotel and everything, and they were with friends. So what date the game was, the 6th, was that a weekend? Did they leave like on Friday evening and head over for the whole weekend? You know what I mean? I have to look at. So either way,
Did they say Indiana?
well, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Did they say it was an Indiana game?
Oh hell, I don't remember who it was.
Okay,
All I know is December 6th, the game happened, and they were not home, and he was on their property, and she went back to her room because she felt upset about her ex-husband. He absolutely let her know, I'm here and I'm watching you in some fashion. He reached out to her in some way, and I would like to know what her phone says. Was there a call? What does her call log say? Was there a phone? Was there text? We know what texts were between Koberger and Mother. The Bernhardts see it on Celebrite. So Celebrite reports would see the text. So how did he reach out? Because you can't make me believe he didn't reach out. I mean, unless he walked up to the front door like an idiot and put himself on the ring cam. Or maybe he did it on purpose. Hey, I'm here. I found you.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Could be that, like devious. You got to make it
Mhm.
I mean, either I'm stupid or I'm devious, one of the two. So I got to figure out how I'm approaching that thing. Am I walking up there going, "Oh, I'm dumb and don't realize I'm gonna your little ring camera," or, "Hey, bitch, I found you," and he wanted it to be known.
Right.
If my wife's ex-husband showed up on my ring camera, she wouldn't go back to the hotel alone.
Exactly. Or maybe she just said, "I'm fine. I want you to stay
Maybe
for the
she did.
game," and talked him into it.
Maybe she was that girl. She was so used to saying, "I'm fine."
Mhm.
Well, okay. I wish women would be more
Well,
comfortable
she
with saying,
probably
"Not
said,
fine."
he's not here. He's oh, we know he's there,
I'm
so
not ready to put it all off on her
yeah.
though yet. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe I sit in a different place with it, but I feel like I've heard enough of her telling people about
Mhm.
this guy, and as soon as it happens, they're all telling the cops about this guy, and I'm not
After
seeing
the fact.
restraining orders anywhere. I'm not. And then I find out on the 6th she's feeling some type of way about her ex-husband, and I need to know why. But she
And
goes
there's
back
no
to
other than the friends, there's no documentation of it anywhere. Not even in the divorce decree, like, when they went to court, there's
well, look,
nothing there either.
she might not have made it known in the divorce that, like, he's
Mhm.
abusive and all that. That probably wasn't even handled in the divorce. But did she not fear him enough to think it was worth a restraining order, or were others telling her maybe it's not that serious yet? But what happened on the 6th? It was serious enough for Monique to feel bad enough to leave this game surrounded by people who love her and could protect her and make her feel comfortable that she went back to the room alone. That to me was a lot. Why did she do that?
The game was at night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Maybe she wanted to be alone to unpack what just happened, but I just going back alone is like I don't know. I don't maybe it's just me, guys. Do y'all think
No,
that would
I
be
get it. I mean, I was thinking the same thing because my husband wouldn't wanted me to go back
yeah,
alone.
I'm not afraid to discuss it. I mean, it doesn't mean he's wrong, right? She could have very well been like, "No, no, 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 Spence, you stay here. I'm good. Just let me go back and relax. You may fine." It could have been just that, but
Yeah.
it could have been. I don't know. I feel like I'm hearing a lot of
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Okay. The game was at 8 p.m. that night on December the 6th, the football game. So it
yeah.
would have been a night game.
So if he went there and she saw him on the ring camera, it would have been at night.
Mhm.
And if she got a communication by text, it would have maybe he went to the property and hung out for a couple hours. He had to have texted her during the he couldn't have went
Mhm.
and hung out the few hours left and then text her because the game would be about over, right? If he was there for a few hours while they were actively at the game, he would have looked at the times the game was happening, right?
Mhm.
If how did he know they were going to be at this game in a way
Exactly.
for a couple of hours? Butterfly, damn, y'all, did he have like access to?
Was he gonna try it then? And they were away. He didn't know.
But how is he accessing? All, were they posting about it?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
if
No.
you're in fear and this guy, but if he hadn't bothered you in a while, right? Seriously, what if this guy hadn't bothered her in a year or in a few months? What if it had been a year? Because they would have been apart, what, 8 years, some shit? So what if like a year's gone by and it's been crickets out of him? So we're getting comfortable. So we're posting a little bit about our life. Maybe they post it, we're going to this game and he's watching it and he sees it. And all this bullshit's unfolding in his personal life and it triggers something.
And
And
we
he
don't know
knows
if they had indoor. Did they say they had indoor cameras?
I haven't heard anything about indoor cameras yet. Like I'd
Yeah.
love to know if the Reiners had indoor cameras in that big mansion. I would, but that's me.
Mhm.
But I haven't heard anything about indoor, like an inside camera at all. Um,
Right. I was just
but
curious because if he had, even if he didn't go up to the door and got in another way while they were gone, indoor cameras would have picked. picked up any movement.
I
So
don't know. I think this guy found a workaround. He's
mhm,
watching. Maybe he's smart enough to know how to hack into like something in their computer. I mean, you can't put it past people these days. Hacking is not
mhm.
like
Find
it's
everything online, how to.
no. I mean, no. This guy's smarter than that. We're talking first grade. This guy's a fucking genius level almost.
Yeah.
Brian Koberger's over here wiping his devices with forensic data wiping tools. So, as dumb as some of these criminals are in the end, because they think they're smart enough to do it all, they end up messing up on the small stuff. But the big stuff they don't a lot of times. So I wouldn't put it past him to find the ability to find a way to hack into something to recover enough
Mhm.
information to, and it would be interesting to see the logs of
Right.
activity from the door keypad code. I guess it records and logs entries, I guess, of people coming and going, wouldn't it? You would
Mhm.
think. The ring cam, if it was offline, or did he shut the Wi-Fi down? Is it all tied into the Wi-Fi? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it could have hacked in and known like what her passwords were and things. So
Yeah, if you can hack in and get a password, you're in, right?
mhm.
You can get in and get a security code, you're in. It's that simple. And maybe they posted about their whereabouts that particular weekend with the game situation, and maybe he was able to see that and took it upon himself to take the opportunity to do some surveilling at that time or
Mhm.
practicing getting in. Uh,
It's gonna be interesting to see when they get everything off of computers and once they do deep dives on those, like did he send her something and she clicked on a link and he ended up hacking her that way? And that's how he was stalking her and without her knowing. I mean, who knows? There's a number
I
of
think
things.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this: if it rose to the level where he sent her like a link or to anything, I'm in your house, I was at your house, I see you, I got you, would that been enough in y'all to trigger you to call the cops?
Hell yeah. I would
Oh,
have called it my
she
first thought
she didn't
with
even
that
waste no time. I like it when she does that. She's like, hell yeah, I'd have called all of them.
yeah.
Right? I mean, because that's scary, especially if you think somebody's been at your home. That's your safety, your
Mhm.
sanctuary, your everything, right? That's a lot. All right, guys. Let me see what y'all are saying in chat about this topic here on this segment. We kind of went through some case updates tonight, y'all. Thank y'all for coming in, everybody who is here, and always for joining the conversation. Hey,
Yeah.
Carrie. Carrie says Ring makes it hard to change things to get into my account. After getting a new phone, I had to give them my license, right? To prove it
Oh
was you to
wow.
get in to recover, right?
Mhm.
You want that level of security, though.
Yep.
Uh, that way, it's not easy for people to pretend to be you.
Mhm. Well, we know nowadays if he's that smart and he's that knowledgeable about computers, would he be able to do that?
Oh
Good
yeah, like
question.
Simi says that if they look back at his electronics, he could
Mhm.
have even hacked them up months ago. Um,
Right.
It could be a simple break-in, thief in the night kind of thing. Maybe he watched a bunch of
Yeah.
videos on how to break into, breaking and entering type things and found out that cloak and dagger type of way to get in, like, the real deal criminals, or he hacked in. This one of two
Mhm.
things happened. He found a way in where he, you know, picked a lock, or like a really good lock picking guy, or he hacked into the system.
Yeah.
If I got a camera notification, seriously, that my ex-husband that I have a history with that's done all that is standing at my door, if
Yep.
he would you call the cops like if he hadn't, but apparently he had threatened her up to that point. I'll find you. I'll know where you live. I'll buy the house next door. So there were threats,
Like,
allegedly.
and I'm curious, like, were they threats right after they got married? Were they threats all throughout the up until the incident happened? Like, you know what I mean?
Did he harass her up until she
Did
got
she
married
let
and it
her guard
stopped?
right, right. Did she let her
Started back
guard
up?
down because he stopped at some point?
Well, I
Right.
wonder if he did things to her and then maybe it stopped when she got married and then she's telling her friends and her husband, but then he didn't start again until recent, December 6th again.
Right.
Could it be that? Like I said, was there like a year lapse in between the bothering her, or was it a 6-year lapse in between the bothering? You
Mhm.
know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm curious about.
Bothering her is
Yeah.
putting it lightly. I'm not making light of it. But y'all know what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
don't
That
know,
happened.
to see a timeline of that would be interesting, especially if they go back through her devices, any times he ever emailed her.
Mhm.
Would they find that, anytime he
Right.
ever reached out via text or DM or whatever the hell. And we heard she probably blocked him at some point. So, but you can go back a long ways with a lot of this data. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see what continues to unfold there. I'm not. He'll have his next court appearance, all that jibe coming up. Okay, so we had been unpacking the Idaho 4 crime scene images here, that document here about Turby and the stage crime scene and all that mess. So a lot of us, we were having that conversation about we'd like to hear Joe Scott Morgan weigh in on some of it. Well, he did once with Jesse Weber, right? And he also did with Court TV. And I think there was a little more detail in the Court TV interview he did with Vinnie Politan. So we're going to watch a little bit of that. A door or a window. So for that to happen without it being breaking and entering, they had to leave windows unlocked in their home. Do criminals always get that lucky? Some do, some absolutely do. That's why people need to double check all the windows and doors. Don't think when I had kids, I didn't have to go back around the house at night and double check all the windows. I couldn't go to bed till I did. I literally could not lay in bed at night and soundly go to sleep. I had 3 babies in the house. Every door was checked, every window was checked, every curtain. It was a whole thing. I was a bit obsessed about that. So I encourage y'all, if you're not thinking about that when you go to bed, you might wanna, because look what could happen. That weirdo from the past could sneak in the back window when you aren't even thinking about it. So if he saw them put the key code in, where is he when he sees that? In the car with binoculars? Like, for real, he could have done that. So when I think about that, then my mind goes to, where would I hide to do that? If I'm a criminal, where am I hiding to see them do that? And I got to be able to see it, first of all. It's got to have binoculars. And where am I going to hide to do it? Now, you can't just walk down the sidewalk and see that shit. Maybe he got some bionic eyes we don't know about. But legit, where would he go to do it? If you go look at the map, I don't know where he would park to watch them other than the street.
And he had
Now,
those meta glasses to record everything.
but how can you zoom in?
Probably. I don't have them, but
I have no idea. Even Chad, if y'all know, let me know, because I'm like, I got to figure that out if I'm going to go that route. How's this guy see it? Just like, how'd he get in? How's he see them put a code in? You got to zoom in on that shit. Plus, their body might be covering up the keypad when they're entering it. I got to make that work in my head if I want to figure out how this guy got in there. So that's a really good suggestion. But how would y'all apply that if you really thought that happened?
right.
Because
I have to find out more about the
that's how we work
capabilities
it
of the
out.
glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we move through the theories and work it all out, right? That's what I love about the conversations. Everybody has good thoughts, and we can unpack it together and kind of do our true crime thing. We may not be very good at it, but by God, we try. All right, let's look at this interview before we go and head out here in a little bit. I'm trying to work on some content for this weekend. I want to put together a members only stream because I think the members absolutely deserve something. Um, we may do, well, there are a lot of things still I want to re-review in the Koberger case, not just from an investigation standpoint on him, right? It's going to be about investigating Brian Koberger, not everything else, him. And so I'm focusing on getting some of that together. And anything else, if you guys want to talk about, let me know in the chat. Leave me comments. Um, Tell me what you members want to see as well, because that absolutely matters. And I want to do something. So let me get this set up. And we'll probably do that on Saturday. I got to run it past the mods and get a little scheduling, make sure everybody's good to go, and if we can do it. All right. And then I'll get it scheduled up so you guys will know about it. We haven't done a members only in a really long time. Okay, so it was this one with the court TV. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all decide in chat. Do you only want to watch the part where they interview Joe Scott, or do you want to hear Vinny's kind of intro into the case? Because he kind of lays a little. I kind of agree with everything he said, but yeah.
Yeah, sure.
He goes in a little hard at the prosecution, and at this point, it's like, yeah, I'm here for it. So let's do that. Okay. I'm a fan of Vinny's around here. I go way back with Vinny, kind of like the Nancy Grace of it all. All these guys were on HLN at one point when that shit first came out. HLN, it was so funny because my mama got in cable and HLN headline news, and they played it was like 24-hour news, but it was like every half hour it was a repeat, right? Or overnight it was like that, a repeat. And you could sit there and watch the news all night long on like this repeat. It was weird. And these things would scroll across the bottom and tell you a bunch more news at the same time. But then they developed these shows, and Vinny was one of the OGs over there, bringing cases to us. Uh-oh. Okay.
Salty, I'll be in chat. I have to drop down.
Okay, let me all right. Well, thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. Yeah, after we watch this and we'll stop and chit chat and stuff, then we'll wrap it up for the night. But I appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun as always.
Oh goodness, I love having you up here. I'm glad it worked out tonight. You didn't need to drop down. Your mic sounds good, so hopefully we're good to go. And maybe you can join me over the weekend for the members only show, because it's better for me to have somebody up here to chat with along the way too.
Of course.
All right, I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Thank you. All right, bye, girl.
Bye.
All right, guys, I think we all appreciate when Butterfly comes up and hangs out with us. I'm glad that worked out tonight for us. All right, let me get this screen ready and we'll take a look at this.
University of Idaho students reveal the harrowing final moments. Investigators say the killer stabbed Kelly Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin more than 100 times. These new details showing the horror of the night, the violence of the night, and the evil within the killer. Tonight, we will go through all this new information and ask the question, why didn't prosecutors seek the death penalty for this monster? I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and we've got some new material to show you from the Idaho 4 case. And let me tell you, worse than we thought. And we thought the worst of this guy. But could you imagine that the information as it's coming out, revealing a scene inside that home that you can't imagine, the attack on these 4 young people and what they were subjected to. Unreal. We've got the details for you tonight. horrific bloodshed in that house. This was kill, this was overkill, this was, I mean, the picture that's painted in my mind tonight is a sort of a manic episode where this guy just has the adrenaline going through the roof and is just taking it out on the next person that he sees. And once you hear these details, you're going to be really surprised that he did not go after Dylan. Because remember, Dylan sees him. I don't know if he sees her, but amazing that in light of what we're learning now, that 2 people were spared in that house. Now, the other part of this, once you...
It really is, in all reality, and I know I've thrown tons of shade. I'm human. If he made eye contact with that girl or even noticed that she was there and he saw her, he was a man intent on leaving that house because of everything that just unfolded. And that adrenaline crash after Xana or a rush, whatever, it's a miracle that girl didn't get it too.
Here, and you'll get the details of all this horror. The prosecutor gave him a deal. I cannot get over this. I still cannot get over this. And the reason being, it is a state that has the death penalty. And if you don't seek it against this guy, then who?
Amen, brother. I'm in Florida. We have that too, and I thought everybody did once upon a time, but it turned out they didn't. But why have it if you don't use it? If you don't like it, get rid of it. It's your state.
Who would wait till you hear the details? Who else would be eligible for this? This is who it's designed for. But the prosecutor gave him a deal. And that's why I always ask the question, did they get justice? And you can say, well, some of the families didn't want the death penalty. At the end of the day, should the worst of the worst be punished, the most severe? At the end of the day, in a state that has the death penalty, meaning the people of that state elected.
I think maybe some of the parents may have thought, not so much we don't like the death penalty, we're fine with whatever. No, I think the prosecution might have been like, these death penalty cases are like, this could take years. I think that there might have been some of that going on, but there was one family who were like, we don't give a F. That was a problem. So let's be real about probably what happened.
People into office who put that on the books, which means the people want it in that state. But you're not giving it to him. So is that truly justice? We could talk about that. But first, let's dive into some of these new details, and to help us.
Y'all, I could see him not seeing her either, especially if he's a man on a mission to get out that door. Is he real? If she's got that door cracked the way she said, and her room's dark, and that door is just cracked, does he even notice it? Does he even notice it as he's beelining it out of that living room, around that corner toward that kitchen, out that slider, out? He probably never noticed her. And then once he went through the kitchen, his back's to her, he's going toward that stove, he's got a curve to the left to get out that slider. She says that she stuck her head out, and she didn't know if he saw her head or her whole body. And I thought, wait a minute, does that mean he turned around to look at you and possibly saw your head or your whole body? But then again, y'all know who we're dealing with here, and so yeah, I think he probably didn't even see her, considering all the things we know.
Understand the findings from the autopsies. I want to bring in forensic death investigator, host of the very popular Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joseph Scott Morgan is with us. Thanks so much for being here. This is going to be a tough
course, fan.
This is going to be a tough little segment, but I brought you in because you understand these death scenes. You can put some context and perspective for us. So I want to start with Xana, and let me read some of the stuff, and then you can kind of break it down for us. Cause of death: multiple sharp force injuries, while also suffering abrasions and contusion of the head, torso, and extremities. Awake at the time of the attack. 67 stab wounds, 25 incised wounds of the upper extremities, 23 stab and incised wounds of the scalp, face, and neck, 7 stab wounds of the chest, 4 stab wounds of the abdomen, 3 incised and puncture wounds of the back, 5 incised wounds of the lower extremities, punctures of the outer table of the skull, perforations of the jugular vein, heart, lung, and pulmonary blood vessels, hemorrhage into the chest cavities, wounds extending into the bones of the right hand, scrapes and bruises on the face, torso, and extremities, blood on the bottoms of her feet. Joseph Scott Morgan, what story is this telling about what happened to Xana?
That was a lot, y'all. Right, Ruth Ann? Jesus. Bless that little girl's heart. And she saw it coming, and she fought through it.
Well, let's start with the feet, Ben. I know that seems rather innocuous, but that gives us evidence that she was upright and mobile, at least for a few moments, that she fought. You don't get this contact trace blood elements on the feet without that having occurred. And then we move to the hands. This is evidence of an awareness, because these sound to me, at least, Finn, as though these are consistent with defensive wounds. So she's parrying any kind of attack like this back, trying to block. She's awake and alert at that moment in time. And then you begin to get into all of these other planes.
Yeah, Simi, it's always appeared that way, because we had heard early on about the injuries to her hand, and it always sounded like she did just that, grabbed it. And for her to be upright, awake, and fighting back or trying to block even and grabbing, just that, you know what I mean? That fear alone that she had to experience is heartbreaking.
Of the body, they're insulted. So it's not as though that the perpetrator is merely advancing on her face to face. She's whirling about, okay, because you've got insults posteriorly, anteriorly. You've got them on multiple surfaces of the skull and the face. And it's not just sharp force injuries, Finn. They talk about incised wounds, which are slices. You have stab wounds, which are penetrative wounds. But then she's also got bruises or contusions, which means we're talking about in addition.
So all these victims have slices and stabs. I mean, we're unleashing. This is a madman. This isn't go in and slice a throat and get a thrill kill. This is something a whole hell of a lot more.
To all of this, blunt force trauma. You mentioned a term earlier that I've heard you mention for many years, and I concur with this. This is, in fact, overkill. This is a frenzied event. I can't necessarily go to motivation, but I can tell you, Vin, that cases like this that I've worked over the years, this goes to being fueled by intense anger, fear, all of these sort of things. And if we believe what the narrative is that we've heard over and over, Xana was that kind of, she was that individual that stood between him and getting clear of this environment. He did not expect to encounter her. So he's like a caged animal, with emphasis on animal here.
So that's exactly how we've all thought it has unfolded, especially with what all went, knowing that the two upstairs were first, right? And the running Dylan hearing whatever Dylan heard outside her door, and Xana getting the DoorDash. So he encountered her. It's obvious at some point. I don't think he went upstairs and did that. I think once he did that upstairs, it was like, oh God, I got to get out of here, or that was the intent, and then run into Xana. I don't think he ran towards Xana's room knowing she was in there. Couldn't he just turn right, went into Dylan's room? If he knew all the people in the house and where they were all at, Dylan's right there. Why would you run through the living room and down the hall to eat? Or you could have went down there to Bethany's room and got her quietly, and back up and got the rest of them and slipped out. So I always felt like Xana was awake and ran into this guy. Her phone, 412, tick-tock. We know what time he entered that house. By the time he got done upstairs and come down, that's what happened. It's crazy. And to think she had to encounter that. And if Dylan's account is accurate, and this person in the house said, "Don't worry, I'm here to help you," I have questions about how loud that was said and where it was said, outside her door, in the living room, the bedroom, whatever. But if that was even said, that's even more sadistic, right? Fucking freak.
Then.
Let's get to our next victim, Kaylee Gonzalez. Cause of death: multiple sharp force injuries, while also suffering asphyxial injuries and blunt force injuries of the head. Stabbed a minimum of 38 times. 24 stab and incised wounds of the scalp, face, and neck. 11 stab and incised wounds of the chest. 3 stab and incised wounds of the upper extremities. Punctures of the outer table of the skull. Injuries to the teeth and tongue. Perforations of the subclavian artery and vein, and hemorrhage into the chest cavities. Blunt force injuries, scalp laceration, bleeding around the brain, nasal fracture, scrapes on the nose and cheeks, bruising around the eyes, patterned bruises extending across the lower face, blood stains on the body, bed, and wall indicate her posture and position changed during this event. What story does this tell about Kaylee?
When you think about this child, then let's just go to, because I know a lot of people are curious about this idea of the external table of the skull. And the external table of the skull, there's a top layer to the skull, if you will. So this is a non-penetrative injury to the skull itself. So what this means is, with the utilization of this blade, and keep in mind, this K-bar blade is very robust. At its heart, this is a combat knife, okay? Very resilient, very robust. So if you think about the blade itself kind of glancing off of the skull itself, it will in fact chip that external or outer table of the skull every time that this occurs. Then we begin to think about the hemorrhage.
So that's just inflicting a stab just to inflict it, right? To that, where it's like pick, like, what the hell? Versus the inside, the slicing, right? There's also this, oh my God. And as fast as limited time as this guy had in the house, really, he's going all in super fast. 38 times on Kaylee alone. And and his victims are side by side. You just went through all of that upstairs with 2 victims, and now you go downstairs and run into Xana. And then look what, oh God.
That you see inside of the cranial vault, that's because of this concussive event where she's being pummeled. There's a lot of this pummeling that's going on here, because the knife in a fist, or the fist wrapped around a knife, he's essentially doing this and then driving the blade, I think, into her face.
Okay, that makes total sense, right? Y'all, so you're holding it, that handle, and he's just turning it and punching, and that makes that punch even harder, holding that K-bar. And then he flips it back around, and there was allegedly some videos on an account scrubbed of Brian Koberger's, a video of him doing some practice moves. I don't know if that was real or not. Good Lord, that's just like the stabbing wasn't enough. Was Kaylee not meant to be there? Did she mess up the best laid plan? What?
And if anybody gets a chance to look at the K-bar, if you flip it on its end.
And the reason I say Kaylee like that, because he went, I don't think this guy went to, maybe he went to Kaylee's room first and she wasn't there. So he goes to look for her at Maddie's, or did he go straight to Maddie's room and happen to find Kaylee? Chances are he went straight to Maddie's room. And why hers versus all the rest? Going straight to Dylan's, going straight to Xana, going straight down to Bethany. Why straight to Maddie? I don't know. Was it because when you stalked that house to see if it was sufficient, you noticed that bedroom window with those pink boots and the big pink M, and this girl with long blonde hair who would sit at her dressing table? All her friends said it was like Maddie's little dollhouse, and you could see her sitting at her dressing table through her window. I was like, at the back of the house even. So I'm like, damn. If friends could Koberger, and he's like, okay, I don't know. I have to figure out why that house, why that room.
You look at the base of this thing, it actually looks like a hammer.
Right, Pammy? But would Koberger have known, unless Kaylee was posting and he was watching, that because we know there was, do I go back? Do I don't go back? She was going to go back and be Dylan's +1 and to show Maddie her new car. So once Kaylee got back, did Kaylee post that new car on social media once she showed it to Maddie? So people are like, well, he wouldn't have known that was Kaylee's car in the yard. I don't know. Those are the things we don't know. If he knew who all the vehicles belonged to, did he know enough about the house? And here's another thing I wondered too, guys. When some body cam dropped today of a neighborhood canvas, and people right there at Queen Road all said, quiet night. Usually there's parties. Tonight there wasn't. Did Koberger just get lucky and that was the night of no party? Or because it was the night no party, that was the night? It just happened to be November 13th. There's a lot to, I don't know, right? There's a lot of I don't knows yet to figure out why that guy chose that house and went that night.
Okay, and that's what Marines have used this thing for. It's not just a combat knife, but it's a utility knife. So it can be used as a bludgeon. It's fascinating when they begin to talk. Did you?
Yeah, Carolina, I just saw your comment there. You caught up, baby, in chat now? You're fine. I was noticing that. I was wanting to comment back to you. You're good. I saw your comments. You're right in the comments you had. You were behind in chat. But we all feel the same way. Was he just that situation where he didn't, whatever, Bethany's unknown. She's downstairs. Nobody sees her. But he just not see Dylan, right? He was in a rush to go. Yeah, that was probably what happened.
Notice what you had mentioned. If you go back to that, they talked about a pattern, the pattern injuries. Well, if you have a pattern injury, that means that it marries up with some type of object, right? And my suspicion is that during this kind of blunt force trauma, you've got these patterns that are appearing on the face. And one more thing about this poor young lady is that you said there were a minimum of wounds. Do you know why they're saying that instead of being specifically qualifying there? Because you have intermingled wounds that are communicating with one another. And so even in the autopsy room, when you're trying to make sense of what you're seeing, you'll have cross communications between insults, and sometimes you cannot accurately count them. This is a very concentrated attack all over her. She had an awareness. We think about being in a recumbent position, maybe prone.
So we have heard that Kaylee also appeared to have fought back. Again, that's like two of them were attacked at a point when they were just pretty much out of it asleep, Maddie and Ethan, but not Xana and Kaylee. Because how do you attack two in a bedroom at the same time and the other one not become startled, at least, to say the least, right? And be aware. That's insane.
Supine, as she's sleeping, she reacts, she rises to this. So the attitude that she's in physically is adjusting relative to the attacker.
All right, let's go to Kaylee's best friend, Maddie Mogen. Cause of death: multiple sharp force injuries, 13 stabbed and incised wounds to the scalp, face, and neck, 10 incised wounds of the upper extremities, 5 stab wounds of the chest, wounds to the lung and liver, perforations of the subclavian vein, subclavian artery, and blood vessels of the chest wall, an incision of the nasal septum, and a perforation of the tongue. One other thing, if you could give us your opinion on does any of this give you any indication of who may have been murdered first?
Not, you do that at your own peril, and any forensic pathologist or medical legal death investigator out there would say the same thing. All we can merely do is give you an indication of the number of insults that have occurred, the level of trauma. It's very, very difficult to put this in order. I wish we could so desperately, but we can't. It's almost an empirical impossibility to do that. Maddie's injuries are unique to her in the sense that you begin to think about, if you touch the underside of your nose, this is your septum right here. So she's got an incised injury that literally goes across this area, clips the nasal septum, as it will. So the blade is literally being drug across her face at this point in time.
Now, see, that's beyond. That's not just the stabbing to quickly get what I want, which is to unalive apparently. But we're going and doing all this extra. It's just like there's no rhyme, no reason to it. We got stabs, slices, punches. It's just like an all-out assault and attack by a total madman at this point. Like, serial killers are bad enough. They're, I'm going to say whatever. But he slips into the house in the darkness, and you go upstairs, and you find the one you want in bed. Do you assault? Do you just slice their throat and be done? But this is like a whole, something within that person, right, that could go and do all that and be so extra, especially when he gets over to Ethan.
She's also, again, this facial attack that's going on. And I've thought about this a lot, Vin, in the sense that I think that one of the two young ladies in that room were the target. Obviously, I think that's been talked about extensively. I know that you have, and so have I. But when you combine the level of trauma that both Maddie and Kaylee have sustained inside of this environment, this is almost an effort to disfigure. That's why I think that upon the initial event, when the perpetrator entered into this room, first off, I think this is probably sexually motivated. I think there's an adrenaline dump because this is driven by his lust. I think he's surprised when he gets in there because there's two. So now you're heaping on top of that adrenaline dump, you've got fear and anger that are coming in, and he just goes wild in this environment and begins stabbing them repeatedly over and over and over again. He very well could have gone from body to body. Okay, and that has happened over the course of my career. I've seen that occur. There would be DNA evidence on that knife where you would have commingled DNA, I think probably, and on other surfaces, of course. We don't know where that knife is. Lord only knows. I hope it's found at some point in time, but we don't have it. Both of these girls were extremely disfigured and attacked. Whereas if you think about Xana, her wounds are more randomized. They're over multiple planes. These two victims, you have this kind of concentration where he's really focused on the face here, Vin.
Final victim, Ethan Chapin. 6 incised wounds of the upper extremities, 6 stab and incised wounds of the lower extremities, 4 stab and incised wounds of the scalp, face, and neck, 1 stab wound of the upper chest, perforations of the jugular vein, subclavian vein, and subclavian artery.
Yeah. So what stands out to me about Ethan's injuries, specifically the concentration is up here. For folks that are wondering where the subclave is, if you'll find your clavicle, your collarbone right here, the subclavicular clavicle runs beneath there. It's a major blood supply. So you're going to have a lot of internal bleeding with this. It doesn't seem as though that Ethan really moved from the position that he was in. But one thing that's always struck me as odd with Ethan, and I think you probably know where I'm going, Vin, are these insults that he has on his lower extremities. They seem to be incised wounds, and I don't, and look, in the heat of the moment, maybe the confined space in here, you can't explain it because you've got somebody that's reacting in anger. But in that concentration, they're that low on the body. I've never been able to make sense of it or what the purpose of that was. And
now, we heard in documents alluding to like a carving, but we're like, what? Can you elaborate? But we haven't heard that anymore. We've heard that there was like extra time. We had heard in leaked information early on that Ethan's legs were cut, sliced. Now, was that in an attempt to disarm, right? Or is that's a lot still? He's already doing a lot of attacking up on the upper part of Ethan to take Ethan out, and then he also does this extra stuff to his legs. Did Ethan represent that one thing he could never be? And oh my God, this guy is here too. Are you kidding me? Not only was this guy damn near as big as you are, and much better looking and much better liked, did he represent all the things that he wasn't? And that was going to be the second he saw this big guy in that bed. By the time Xana gets into the room, and she could imagine she's screaming, at least enough for Ethan to become a little startled. He was pretty intoxicated, so I don't know how much it would have took to stir him up. You know what I mean? And by the time he does start stirring around, it's too late. This guy is on him. And that's so horrible that he just went and did all of that. Now imagine having to be their parents, because you have to read those reports because you absolutely get them. You get the certificates. You have to go view bodies. It's a whole thing. And to have all that done to your child, oh my goodness. And you wonder what people have a hard time understanding the rage of the Gonzalez family, right? Think about what was done to their daughter's face. I guess the ones who have rage against them think Kohberger didn't do that to their daughter's face. So, whatever.
And of course, I don't think that we will ever know that, but Ethan certainly is traumatized to a great extent as well. There is not as much facial disfiguration with him. I don't think that the perpetrator spent as much time in his efforts to kill Ethan as he did the others.
Joseph Scott Morgan, your insight is the best, and really, I think, gives us all a much clearer understanding of what happened here to these 4 victims, and we appreciate your time tonight. Joseph Scott Morgan,
You're
thank you.
quite welcome, my friend.
Sorry, I was on mute. All right, so that was the interview with him. If y'all want to watch that whole episode, you can find it over there on Court TV. I can grab the link in a minute, but y'all know where to find it. I had been looking to see if Joseph Scott dropped anything on his podcast, the Body Bags podcast, because over there he will talk more in depth about the crime scene itself and the injuries to these victims. He did that a while back when the first set of documents and photos and stuff came out. So if you are interested, you can go check out his podcast as well, Body Bags. I listen over on iHeartRadio. Y'all can listen to wherever you get your podcasts from. I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me? Jet, I agree. I'm on the fence. I feel like it could go both ways. Was Kaylee even in the room to start with? They were calling Jack from both phones back and forth. Was she just in there doing all that? And then she laid down beside her and they both just passed out. Kaylee's sweatshirt is over in the floor, but she had a t-shirt, so she could have just took it off, tossed it over, and they're calling Jack. They give up and go to bed. Or was she in her room with Murphy, heard something, got up and went to go investigate, leaving Murphy behind? Apparently her door was open because Dylan hears Murphy do. We don't know. We don't know what Murphy was doing. We saw paw prints in the room. Whatever. Y'all get it. It's a lot. But yeah, I don't know that I'm on the fence with that. Or was only with two things. Either Kaylee fell asleep in there with Maddie, and that's just where she was, or she heard something and got up and went in there. But if she entered that room and startled Koberger and he sees her, he's attacking her right there at the foot of that bed or darn near the foot of the bed, and there would have been a lot more evidence splattered onto the wall, right? It's all concentrated up on the bed where Kaylee was already apparently laying, and I think that's how they're determining her position in the room when he attacked her. Would have already been up in the bed versus standing at the foot of the bed, coming in the door, and him attacking her there or at any other point. Because if you look around Maddie's room, everything is right there at the head of the bed and up along the front of the walls there. Because I expected to see that spatter right there when you enter Maddie, because it's a tight space for him to attack Kaylee as she came in the room to startle him. So I'm leaning more toward yes, she was in the room, because I always wondered how they know that. Was she wearing a watch that told them where she was? You know what I mean? How do you know she was already in that bed? That would be the way to tell. Where did her attack start in the room? Did it appear she just came in and was attacked there, or already in the bed? If you look at the photos like we did, I don't know. That's where I'm at so far. I thought there's a good possibility she was in the room already. Probably just passed out next to her friend, because there's that second interview that dropped today with Eric Gower, the driver. I think when I go live, I'm going to go live in the morning to review that. Because it's an interesting, it's not like it's the investigation they were doing, looking at the people early on, especially him, because he was literally the last person other than Dylan to see these girls alive. So they had questions, and so it's interesting from that standpoint, right? So I think we'll take a look at that in the morning. But he was saying that on the way home from the grub truck, that's when Maddie was into the macaroni already, the carbonara with her hands, right? Her and Kaylee had a little discussion about that. So when they get home, they eat, split it, they eat, walk Murphy, and they crash. And they're calling Jack until he's not answering. I don't want to hear it no more tonight, Kaylee, whatever, I'm already in bed. And it is what it is. And she fell asleep in there because they're used to doing that. Yeah, there you go. There's the iHeart link. Yeah, there's some good conversations over on that on his show. He and his host have, so I like to listen to them. Like if I want to go to sleep, I'll just turn it on sometimes and listen to it while I'm falling asleep. And then you realize you fell asleep when they were talking about something good, and you're like, damn. Yeah, I'm leaning more toward that too, Pammy, that they were in that same room, especially considering the Colin Jack, and they were probably just laying there talking, right, about whatever, and you know how best friends will do, and they both went to sleep. And maybe Kaylee's door was open the whole time, and Murphy was just going back and forth between the two rooms, and maybe both doors were open. They're upstairs by themselves. It's just the other kids in the house asleep. Maybe both their bedroom doors were already open and Murphy could just go back and forth. Because I don't see Kaylee shutting him out of wherever she's at, right? What do y'all think? Y'all think her doors were open? We see that spot on Maddie's door, but there's spatter as if the door was open when the attack happened. So of course he had to open the door to enter if it was not already open. And then there's that smear though. I don't know if that was done entering, like exiting the room. It would have to be exiting to have the blood on it. He grabs it. Oh no. Don't know. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. And Butterfly, thank you for coming up earlier and hanging out with us. You think the doors were open, Simi? Yeah. It's a really good possibility when you think about it, considering the damn dog and all the things that we have learned since then, you know. It would make sense to me that two doors would be open so the dog could move around freely. He had his food and water in Kaylee's room. Of course, he was under the desk at one point. When the cops got there, we see Murphy in the image hiding under the desk. We looked at those images the other night, would appear to be maybe fake paw prints in Maddie's room. Yeah. Or partially open Rachel, right. Just not like he's shut up in the rooms. Yeah. Forensics is one of my favorite parts too, Simi. And I like even the conversation that Sarge had with old Turvey, or whatever his name was. I listened to that. I love the forensic side of it. It's good. I like learning about it, right? Even the Amito Black. Like I had to learn more because I'm like looking at some of those images. I'm like, what? Why are they spraying right there? There's nothing there, but now a big blob of blue. But if you go and look at really how it works, and we'll unpack some of that on the members only shows. Actually, I want to get into a little more of that as well. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for coming in on this. What is it, Wednesday night? I gotta look on a Wednesday night. I appreciate it. It kind of ends my day nice and well. I've had a decent day. Like I said, I took my walk earlier. I'm feeling better. So y'all don't freeze to death. Y'all stay warm and real happy. We hope you get your power on real soon. If you're still listening, we're thinking about you. But yeah, y'all tune in. I'm trying to get together this members only for this weekend and get that going. So y'all have a good night, and I will see you back here in the morning at some point. We'll unpack that interview together and go over that. And until then, y'all have a good and safe night, and I appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out with us. Have a good one.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from little Yas to each of you.